Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 27th, and it is a balmy, warm February morning here in Wisconsin, the frozen tundra. And I am joined today by several presenters for another Taco Tuesday. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. You can see here on the screen, we've got four presenters lined up from four of WiLS vendor partners. And joining us first from Euromonitor are Courtney and Sean. Courtney, I think you were going to share a screen. Are you taking over here?
Yep, I'll go ahead and share my screen.
All right, I'll stop mine, and then the show is all yours.
Awesome. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay. So my name's Courtney. I'm with Euromonitor International, and today I'm just going to give you all a brief overview of Euromonitor, our database Passport, and how it can be used for universities. So I will go ahead and jump in here. So quickly, just to give you all a little recap of Euromonitor as a company, we are a global market research firm. We were founded in 1972 and are headquartered in London, but we now have 16 offices in different countries worldwide. And what we do essentially is provide an in-depth analysis on consumer goods and service industries for 100 different countries, as well as demographic, macro, and socioeconomic data for 210 countries and territories. So just to give you a little overview of what that looks like, we do have quite an expansive network. As you can see here from this map, the orange dots highlight where our 16 offices are, and then you can tell by the shading where the 100 countries that we have our consumer good and service industries data is, and then the 210 countries and territories altogether that we cover. And really, this reach allows us to offer a complete view of the global marketplace and deliver cost comparable data. So when you're looking at data from different countries, you can really kind of compare apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. And then a little bit about how we support universities specifically. As you can see, Passport is a huge asset to universities. It's utilized by 82% of the top 50 business schools in the United States, and we have over 800 colleges and universities subscribing across the globe. So a little bit about Passport, as I said, it is our database that provides data and analysis on various industries, economies, and consumers. We do offer both local and international perspectives, and it's just an ideal starting place for market research for your students. And then a little overview of our research expertise. As you can see, quite an expansive list of industries that are covered here that you'll be able to find data on in Passport. And then just a little bit of the value for universities, specifically starting with students, since they are the main user here. The greatest value that they'll gain is real world experience. So the database that students are utilizing when they're doing their projects for the classroom is the same database that they'll be utilizing when they go work for whatever company they start their career off. We are utilized by a vast majority of the top Fortune 500 companies. So really great resume booster for students, just increases their employability as they're going into the job market, doing interviews. It's a great database to have experience with, something that few companies will be looking for. Another benefit is that it will save them time as they're working on projects. Passport really is sort of a one-stop resource. So instead of bouncing between different databases to collect various information that students might be looking for, Passport has most of what they could be finding useful for a project. And then for faculty, they also will have access to the database on campus. They can use that for their independent research projects, and of course, teaching. And then a benefit to the library staff, faculty, and students is that you will have a dedicated account manager. So we can help with implementation, we can lead trainings for classes, and then of course answer any questions that students, professors, or library staff might have. So if a student is searching in Passport for something and they can't find what they're looking for, they can reach out directly to their account manager and we'll help guide them. And then just a little bit of context of how Passport can be applied in the classroom. As you can see here, this is not an extensive list of all the ways that it can be utilized, but just to kind of get some juices flowing of how it might be applied to different projects. You see product and brand strategy, SWOT and pest analysis, consumer segmentation. What I'm going to focus on when I kind of show you what the database looks like is a market entry study. So I wanted to quickly highlight an international market for breakfast cereal study that one of our clients actually did for their international market research and analysis course. The project was global marketing and branding strategy, and they essentially were looking at market entry for breakfast cereals, specifically focusing on Pepsi. So this is just one way that it can be utilized, and I'll dive a little bit into the data that they could look at for that. So starting with the market share, our raw statistics do show market sizes in countries, and then also brand and company shares. As you can see here, I know it's probably a little small, but I kind of wanted to highlight how you can quickly look at the country preferences, not only for certain brands, but also the company that that brand falls under. So as you can see here, there's a few countries that the top company share is PepsiCo, and then the brand varies between different PepsiCo products. So for example, I believe in India it's Quaker, and then China has a different Pepsi brand. So it can be interesting to see how the same company is popular in certain countries, but the brands might be different. So what consumers are purchasing or interested in is different. And then it can also help easily identify industry and country trends. Again, going back to seeing what the consumers in certain countries prefer. And then another thing I wanted to highlight on is our ability to forecast growth. So again, if you are looking to enter into a certain market, something that might be interesting to you or to a student is how much growth potential that market has. So you can see here I highlighted a few different components that we have. First is our raw data. So we do forecast out to 5 years in the future. Again, can be really helpful to see how the market size is going to grow in a certain country. And then I wanted to highlight a little bit of our data graphics that we have here. So for example, in China, in the screenshot on the bottom left, you can see the forecasted growth for sales of breakfast cereals specifically as we go forward. And then we do have our forecast model on the bottom right side here that just shows the forecasted growth comparatively in different countries in a data graphic. So essentially this is reflective of the raw statistics that are shown at the top. And then one last thing to highlight is our lifestyle survey and analysis. So this is a relatively new addition to Passport under our consumers tab. I think it's really interesting as we kind of move into this era where everyone wants to know what Gen Z is thinking compared to millennials. I highlighted that here at the top. We do have the lifestyle survey that you can break down by age group. You can also break it down by country. If you were, again, comparing what product might do well in a certain country, you can look at the survey of the consumers to figure out what they might be more interested in. And then, of course, we do have some analysis that highlights why you might see these trends or these results from different questions from the consumers here. And then finally, I just wanted to highlight pest analysis. So this is a type of a report that students are particularly familiar with. I think most business students learn about it in their first year of courses. So something that they can kind of easily understand and digest. Again, really gives a 360-degree view of what's happening in a certain country. You can see we provide a little data graphic breakdown of each environment, so political, economic, social, and technological, with some bullet points to kind of just give a high-level understanding of what is happening in each of those environments. And then as you go through the report, it is broken down in terms of opportunities and challenges by each different environment. And then I want to highlight quickly at the top of the report, you will get a little synopsis of what the outside factors are that are affecting the environment in a certain country. So really just a great report for students to look into if they're trying to understand what might be some factors to consider as they're looking to enter a certain market. Yeah, so that was a really quick overview of passport and some of the different ways the data can be used, and then some of the different data that we have to offer. Are there any questions? And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Courtney. It's always fascinating. I'm always like surprised at the granularity of information that you can get. And I think it's also really useful and key, especially when we're talking about for higher ed purposes, that like the point you made earlier up on in the session, that learning the tool and learning how it's used now during your education can be really valuable in the workplace once these students graduate and go to work at a company or even as entrepreneurs for themselves. So very cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
I haven't seen any questions come in yet, but I am confident that I can say if anybody has questions, they can certainly reach out to Courtney. Of course, you can reach out to us here at WiLS, and we will put you in touch with the right person, probably Courtney, to answer your questions. And then if you're interested in quotes or other things, please reach out as well. Anything else to add, Courtney, before we wrap up?
I think that's all I have, but thank you so much for having us today, and we appreciate your time.
It's our pleasure to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, so I'm going to show the agenda one more time just to get us ready for our next presenter. There we go. Okay, joining us from North Star Editions for another Taco Tuesday is Heather McDonough. Heather, are you ready to take over?
I think so.
All right, I'll stop sharing my screen and you can take the lead here.
Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Is that going to? Is that working? There we go.
Good.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here to introduce our new titles for spring 2024 season, including a brand new high-low series from our Jellyfish Press imprint. So if you know us or if you don't know us, we have imprints across multiple age groups from K to 9. We have our Apex, which is our high-low. It helps the struggling readers keep their interest while catering to their specific reading level. And then we have our press box books, which is the sports lovers' favorite teams, favorite players, all the information you could ever want. Our Jellyfish Press, like I mentioned, covers imaginative and sincere fiction stories targeted at younger audiences from picture books to middle grade. And that includes, like I said, our new high-low fiction series called Harbor, which are 3 standalone titles, each following their own gripping story, and I'll get to those in just a little bit. And then finally, for our teens and our young adults, we have our Flux imprint, which features empowering stories from diverse perspectives, and they critically engage, with the world and get them excited about new things. So let's check out some of our other titles. So community helpers. We know our community are stronger when people help each other, and this engaging series introduces our readers to many ways that helpers can get involved in their communities by describing what actions people can take and how those actions can help. Something to note is that all of our North Star Editions nonfiction titles take the national education guidelines into consideration when we are creating all of our titles. Our next series is Momentous Materials. Have you ever wondered where rubber came from or how glass was first discovered? People use an incredible variety of materials to make our lives easier. Each book in this fascinating series examines how material was first developed and how it is produced today, also the ways that people use it. How to write. Writing is an essential skill that enables people to inform, persuade, tell stories, and express themselves. Our How to Write series helps readers understand the basic of 6 different forms of writing, from writing fiction to journal writing. These are essential parts of our lives. After World War II, the United States experienced major changes that affected nearly every aspect of life. This informative series explores some of the most compelling events from the post-war era, highlighting the perspectives and motivations of the people involved. One of my favorite books in this series is the Women's Rights Movement, and with Women's History Month being in March, that would be a great one for any library collection. How many of us wanted to be astronauts as a child? From landing on the moon to discovering distant stars, the study of space is always expanding. This series highlights 8 of the ways humans explore space, explaining each of the topic's essential history and recent developments. In the Extreme Engineering series, explore some of the world's most impressive structures. Each book explains when and how one structure was built, as well as the unique features that make it famous. As a person who rode the Channel when I was in France many, many years ago, it was super fun to see how that was creative and why it's such a just extreme engineering feat. For hundreds of years, martial arts have offered people exciting ways to fight, compete, and build skills. This series highlights 6 popular styles of martial arts, tracing each one from its historical origins to the ways that it is now practiced. From sharp-toothed bull sharks to powerful polar bears, nature is full of fierce predators. This exciting series showcases 8 of these deadly creatures, describing their prey, hunting skills, and the life in the wild. Legendary athletes thrill sports fans during their careers, and their legacies live long afterwards. This series looks at some of the most exciting and successful athletes ever to compete in their sports. I remember watching some of these athletes compete. Does that make me old? Who is your favorite sports legend? In set number 3 of our Major League Baseball all-time greats, we introduce readers to even more of the greatest players to ever play in Major League Baseball. Each book focuses on a team's best players and goes into details about what made these players great. Here's some of our fiction titles. From Jellyfish Press, twins Austin and Elena live with their Aunt Kessie. Life is pretty normal until they find a set of magic face paints. Soon they are setting off on fantastic adventures across space and time, becoming superheroes or sailing aboard a pirate ship. But on their exciting journeys, can they avoid danger and still get home in time? This is a new chapter book interest for ages 7 to 10. Kangaroo is one small animal in a big, wonderful world. Each day brings a new adventure, from meeting a strange-looking platypus to a new friend that flies through the trees in Not a Spider Sugar Glider. These books have playful rhyming text and lively imagery to help beginner readers follow along as Kangaroo explores her world and makes her friends along the way. Baptiva, East Indies, 1942. Emmy has the voice of an angel, but hasn't sung a note since her mother's tragic death. Instead, Emmy's primary concerns are to enjoy adventures with her Japanese friend, Bhakti, to avoid interacting with her snooty Dutch classmate, Violet, and to convince her father to let her stay in Bhaktiva instead of shipping her off to singing school in England. Then the Japanese army invades Bhaktiva, and as a war erupts in Dutch East Indies, Emmy's world falls apart. When her own actions sabotage her family's chance to evacuate the island, Emmy is captured and confined in Taejong prisoner of war camp with other women and children. Separated from her family and friends and silenced by her grief, Emmy will need all of her strength to survive the war, find her voice, and reclaim her freedom. So this is an amazing new non-European story of World War II, and it's actually written on by the author from stories told to her by her grandma, her Oma Emmy, who actually survived the prisoner of war camp of Tejan. So it's just a great story, The Songbird and the Rambutan Tree, and it's very well done. It's got lots of stars, so this is a great addition to any library. All right. So here's the Harbor High Low that I had mentioned earlier. Characterized by fast-paced plots and age-appropriate themes, our Harbor High Low books are both engaging and easy to read. Their short chapters, simple sentence structures, and accessible format make these books perfect for tween reluctant readers. Harbor books are written at the 2nd to 3rd grade reading level, but the interest level is 10 and up. These are 3 standalone series, and people are very, very excited for these to help get those tween readers excited again. All right, who's ready for a new dystopian sci-fi book? This young adult book from Flux Readers. After adults morph into monsters and everyone under 18 barricades themselves inside their schools to survive, a political exile seeks asylum from her magnet school's hard-partying crosstown rival, which has adopted the neo-feudal trappings of a popular video game, and the competing factions, love triangles, and palace intrigue go with it. This is one of the most fun books I've read in a long time. It's smart and sexy. It's a little bloody. It's got some political intrigue, love triangles, and betrayals like Game of Thrones mixed with Mad Max Fury Road, but it's set in high school. And it combines unique world building, super fast paced, high stakes suspense with a little mystery and romance thrown in. So if this is your genre, pick this one up. It's available April 23rd. Strong Like You. Walker Loudendale hasn't cried since his daddy went missing. And even though everyone says he's dead, Walker won't give up hope. He knows his father is out there, somewhere, cutting a wild trail through the Ozarks like always. But when a relative threatens to kick Walker and his mama out of the family home, Walker realizes he has no chance but to look for his daddy. A search that leads him straight into a drug-addled and dangerous man named Lucas Fisher. While attempting to balance life as a normal 15-year-old boy and a star player on the football team, Walker begins a desperate search across the hills of these Ozarks for a man who, for better or worse, taught him everything he knows about strength. This book fills the gap for those 15-year-old boys. It's very low word count. It's just such a great book to show that, that the toxic masculinity that has been passed on from generation to generation can be changed, and how utilizing writing as a outlet for your emotions is such a great thing to do. There's different parts throughout the book where the author has actually handwritten notes where that Walker is talking directly to his father. So it's sometimes it takes a little bit to get going because it's a second person, but it's just an amazing, amazing story. All right, and my final book is a YA horror, which everybody is asking for right now. This takes place in a 19th century whaling village of Warble, and it's famous for its lucky ship figureheads and infamous for people disappearing into the nightly fog. This murky locale, the lamplighter is synonymous with safety and protection, and its position Temperance assumes when her father is found hanging from one of the lampposts. And now, although she proves to be competent, the town is still hesitant to let a woman handle this responsibility. When a girl disappears after 2 lamps go out, Tempe's ability to provide for her mother and younger sister hangs in the balance. She scrambles for answers, but is hindered at every turn. As more villagers vanish under her watch, Tempe discovers unsettling truths about the famous Wobbler figureheads and her own beloved father. But her warnings of a monster are ignored, even by her own family. Now she must follow the light out of her own fog of despair as she faces a choice to look the other way or risk speaking out and possibly dooming herself and her sister to be among the lost. This is a true horror story, and the ending is unbelievable and chilling and powerful. It is definitely not a Disney happy ending. It has some social premise. The book has some clear themes of feminism and social change, but it definitely captures our readers' attention from the very first page to keep them guessing throughout and long through the ending. This is a great book for anyone who likes horror. All right, that's all I'm going to present today. Thank you for your time. And while I didn't cover all of our new spring titles, I hope you found something you were excited to read and recommend to others. As a reminder, you can preview any of our titles on our ebook platform for free. And you can connect with me or follow the link that's at the top of the page. Please know that our fiction titles are available on NetGalley and Edelweiss. And just as a reminder, all of our WiLS members receive a 40% discount. Have a great day. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Heather. Oh my gosh. Every time you come on here, I'm like, I want to read all these books.
I know. That's good. I'm glad.
Thank you so much for being here. We did actually get one question while you were presenting. Catherine, who is at one of our technical colleges here in Wisconsin, had asked if any of the teen or YA titles might be appropriate for adults in ESL who might be learning
I
English.
would think that they would. We have a lot of different ones. Our Strong Like You one was just picked up by the Missouri like after school program. They're going to do a whole like book club on it, that kind of stuff. We have just lots and lots of great titles, so definitely jump onto our website and look and see. And if you have any questions, Catherine, I'm happy to answer them or get you some previews to see if there's something that would work with your program.
Great. Thanks so much, Heather. Thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah,
Have a great day.
you too.
All right, let's get ourselves set up for our next presenter again. And okay, so joining us now from a long time and a very connected WiLS vendor partner. Connected is a weird way of putting it. We do a lot together. Let's put it that way. Gale, joining us is Amanda. Amanda, are you ready to take the reins here?
I am, yes. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, we can hear you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That'll let you take over.
Super. All right. Okay. And I assume everybody can see this?
Yep, looks good.
Hey, fantastic. So good afternoon. I guess 1 minute, we're still in the morning technically. My name's Amanda Winchell. I am the Strategic Account Director for Central North America. I believe my colleague is on the line as well too. Her name is Alex, and I'll kind of give you our contact information toward the end so that you have that. But today we're going to be talking about Udemy. So those of you that aren't familiar with Udemy, Udemy is basically a platform that has 25,000 plus on-demand video courses in a ton of different categories out there. Categories like business, technology, software, soft skills, personal enrichment, etc. And, with that, what we're really doing with Udemy is we're actually pulling or curating these on-demand courses from a larger marketplace. So Udemy itself is actually a huge marketplace that has over 200,000 videos out there and courses, of course. And these courses are taught by subject matter experts. They have about 75,000 trainers out there. And with that, they have millions and millions of learners. But what we're really doing with Udemy is we're really curating or taking the best of the best of the best. So about 10% of the courses that are actually available through Udemy, we're actually pulling from. And so Udemy, we work with Udemy, and they have an algorithm basically. And this algorithm really takes a look at several different criteria. things like learner satisfaction, reviews, ratings, what the reputation of the instructor is, what the experience level of the instructor is, how relevant the content is, to our marketplace today, what kind of search, how many times the content perhaps is being searched, for example. And so all of this criteria, all of these metrics are basically, being plugged into the system. And from that, they're taking the best of the best courses. And that's what's really made available to us at Gale that we really bring to public libraries. Now, some of the reviews that you will see as you go through the courses, for example, they're really pretty specific. We hear a lot of the common things, though, how how relevant the coursework was to really what it was that they were looking for, how the content was so up to date, for example, how the instructor really spoke in a way that resonated with the learner and help them to, find really what it was that they needed, how easily the content itself was able to be found. And so if they really wanted just like a piece of the course, they could easily search for that piece, watch 10 minutes of it, and then discard the rest of it and move on to whatever they wanted to move on to next. So those are the common things that we see and hear from these reviews. Now, as far as the instructors go, just to kind of give you a sample of how we are really extracting the best of the best here, these are some of the instructors that are with Udemy. And, we have Angela, Jose, David, Penny, and you can see along the bottom here what their average rating is and what their total students are. So with the Udemy, with the courses that we have for public libraries, you will never see a below average rating. You'll never see somebody who's just kind of popped on and started, producing videos, right? These are instructors that have 4.5 to 5 stars, for example, that have 100,000 plus students. Jose has over, I think almost actually over 1 million students now, from what I've heard. And these are individuals that are really thought leaders and experts within their fields. The other thing I think that's important to really make note of about Udemy is that 60% of the collection has been updated within the last 24 months. And we can really do that because of this marketplace concept, right? And so this marketplace concept, so all of these videos, all these courses that we're pulling from, they're constantly being loaded, right, by different instructors out there. And then once the learners take advantage of them, then they're constantly being reviewed. So that's how we're able to turn over these courses to make sure that it does have the most relevant content and it is also being utilized highly. So with that, the utilization rate is really far above industry average. So our utilization rate with Udemy is 80%. So what that means is that of the 25,000 or so videos that are out there or courses that are out there, 80% of those courses are being utilized on a regular basis. And the reason, again, why that's happening, or we can do that so easily, is because of this marketplace model, because of the thousands of videos and courses that we have to choose from, and because of these reviews that are that users are constantly placing on these videos, so we can choose the best of the best. Just to give you some kind of an idea, a typical utilization rate within the industry for a platform like this is usually about 20 to 30%. And so think about that when you see a platform, for example, that might say, oh, we have 30 or 40,000 courses. Well, that's great, but if only 20% of them are actually being utilized, then it's not so impressive, right? So we really talk a lot about this 80% utilization rate because that is a sign that the content is valued and that people keep coming back, and that more relevant content is constantly being replaced with content from yesterday, for example. And just so you can kind of get a view of what it looks like, on the right-hand side, you could see certainly what it looks like from a desktop or a laptop. Lots of functionality, very easy to use. And then, of course, there is a Udemy app that individuals can download as well so that they can easily take a look or take courses right on their mobile device. One other thing I think that often comes up around Udemy as far as questions go is what sort of languages does it offer? Now, of course, you can translate really anything via Google Translate, but I think the one thing that really sets Udemy apart is that there are nearly 15,000 courses available in 14 different languages. And these languages are actually taught by native speakers. And so with other platforms out there, you might have a course taught in Japanese, for example, but it's dubbed over, right? It was originally taught in English and then it's dubbed over in Japanese. So that's not the case, with Udemy. Like I'd mentioned, there's 15,000 courses that are taught actually within the native languages that are out there. So you have a nice breadth of material for individuals where English might not be their first language that they could choose from. So a few things here to basically point out that I think really sets Udemy apart is we've talked a lot about the marketplace model, right? And with this marketplace model, this is how users are able to get the freshest, most relevant content, and they can get it at their fingertips much faster. So an example of that might be I don't know, let's say Microsoft just came out with an update to Microsoft Excel, right? So we're able to, because of this marketplace model, those videos, those courses are going to be launched much faster on this marketplace model because of the learners and because of the instructors that are already established out there within the marketplace. And again, once those reviews get out there, and obviously we'd only select from the best of the best instructors, we would pull that we would pull that into our platform and make that available to public libraries. And so this is completely opposite of what would be called like a publisher platform, where they actually have to build the content. For example, they have to, go to a studio, they have to, video record it, and so on and so forth. So that will generally take about 6 to 12 months. We've been known to have content produced and in the platform within 1 to 2 weeks after an update. So in a day and age in which information is pivotal, right, for individuals to be able to move forward within their job and within their lives, you really want to utilize a marketplace model like Udemy. The International Collection, which has the 15,000 courses in 14 languages that are taught by subject matter experts. We just looked at a slide on that. And of course, obviously, this supports the EDI effort as well to make sure that all the content is accessible and equitable as well. Udemy also takes this learner first approach. So, with the platform, because there's so many different courses out there, and courses there might be overlap as far as content. Of course, there's going to be overlap. There's 25,000, right? But the difference is it's taught by different instructors. So if I'm 20 years old, I'm going to gravitate toward one instructor, right? But if I'm 60 years old, I'm going to gravitate toward another instructor. And so that's really what makes this Udemy platform, this learner first approach, where it really caters to the needs, the demands, and the demographics of a varying population. Also in regards to the content, right? So there's thousands and thousands more hours overall within Udemy compared to other platforms that are out there. So they really focus on what's in demand in the marketplace, and they pull that forward. So things like information technology, for example, there's 4 times as much content as competitor platforms, 6 times more content around personal enrichment, for example. And that's because that's what they're seeing that's in demand in the marketplace at this particular time. And of course, we get the best of the best instructors because we're able to pull from the thousands and thousands of instructors that are out there and really just get the best of the best based upon the learner, not based upon what Gale says, not based upon what Udemy says, but truly based upon what the learner says, which is equivalent to your patrons, right? So your patrons are truly informing what videos actually get posted based upon their reviews, and what instructors actually get highlighted based upon their reviews. Of course, there's closed captioning and transcripts that are available in multiple languages as well, obviously to meet the needs of accessibility. And then the ratings and reviews are also visible so that you can see really, how your patrons are responding to the courses and the instructors. Kind of just finishing up here, Udemy, we did win the Modern Library Award, got the Gold Award in 2023 and the Platinum Award in 2024. So we're constantly getting better. And then also the EdTech Breakthrough Award in 2023. And then finally, promotional discounts are available for WiLS, which are good through the end of March. So if you are interested in learning more about Udemy, you can certainly reach out to myself or with my partner, Alex, I believe, who's also on today's call. But this is our contact information. And of course, with Gale, you always have a team that's supporting you. In addition to myself and Alex, there's also your senior customer success manager who's going to provide you with the post-sale support, all of the marketing materials, all of the content and tools that are available to help promote various resources within the library and really to help you out with programming. Of course, a renewal specialist, we've got technical support, and then of course our customer experience team as well. So with that, I will go ahead and open it up to any questions we might have.
Thank you, Amanda. We did have one question come into our chat window, and that was also from Catherine at Fox Valley Technical College. She asked, do you see Udemy as a competitor from LinkedIn Learning? Is it a similar or competing product to that?
Sure. So I would say it's certainly a competitor. They are similar in the sense that they both offer on-demand video courses for certain. I think the biggest difference probably between, I would say, Udemy and LinkedIn Learning is that Udemy really has this marketplace model where we're able to get this content into the hands of learners much more quickly because LinkedIn Learning is a publisher model where they kind of research the content that's in demand right now, then they build the schedule or the curriculum, for the course, for example, then they hire the instructor, then they fly the instructor to the studio in California, then they have several takes, then they produce the video, they edit the video, and it's generally like a 6 to 12 month process. So I would say the biggest difference is the marketplace model. Also that utilization rate, that's something that I would also take a look at, is because of this marketplace model, we're able to pull so much more content in a timely manner so that the videos don't get stale.
That's great information. Thank you, Amanda. I would say to anybody else watching or watching the recording, if you do have other questions, please do reach out here to us here at WiLS, or as you can see, we've got contact information from all Gale folks here. I think another differentiator would be that we're in partnership, right? Gale and WiLS are in partnership, and our members can take advantage of the offer that you mentioned sort of at the end of your session. So both of those, of course, I don't want to put WiLS on the same level as the amazing content that you're putting out there, but I think the partnership is something that I naturally have to highlight.
Absolutely. Yes. Good point.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. I have seen Udemy a few times over the course of the last 10 years here at WiLS, but it's been a long time since I've seen it, and I'm really impressed with kind of the changes and the highlights that you were able to give us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening as well.
Great. All right. So we are coming in to our last section here. Let me share my screen again just to get us ready. We're running a little bit ahead of schedule, but I'm sure Miriam is going to be ready to go. Oh, here, actually, Miriam's already ready to go. All
Amazing.
Right, Miriam, I'll turn things over to Miriam, who's joining us here from Rosen.
Thank you, Jeff. I like the artwork in your office. I think it's very whimsical. So anyway, hello, Wisconsin. I'm Miriam Gilbert, and I am the head of Rosen Digital, and I am really excited to talk about teen health and wellness, real life, real answers with you, and our financial literacy database, sort of in a continuum of life skills and just being in the world in a healthy, strong, and sustainable way. So many of you in Wisconsin are familiar with teen health and wellness and use teen health and wellness, but I don't want to presume that that everyone knows about the resource and the kind of support and really the care package it can provide for middle schools and high schools and the faculty, the staff, the administration that work in them. Teen health and wellness is very much a homework help, homework support. So all the content is curriculum correlated. So if that's the need that your school has to support reading informational text, nonfiction text across the curriculum, collaboration between technology and language arts and library in creating videos that could get published in teen health and wellness, or a collaboration on writing personal stories. You are not alone. The wonderful thing about teen health and wellness, and the Green Bay Gazette talked about this kind of mental health support for Wisconsin teens, is that we have this peer-to-peer model where teens are talking to teens about their own experience in the Tell Your Story piece of the resource or in the video piece, because we're talking about teens, the teen brain. And while, yes, we are the adults in the room, and believe you me, Rosen Publishing, and I know you never lose sight of that, we're able to curate content submitted by teens and approved by our editorial boards that are really in your other shoes stories, and they're featured on the homepage. So you may have seen around January, once we get out of the Christmas jollies, there were news reports talking about the fact that half of Wisconsin youth have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or behavioral problems. And these students, these children, these teens are having a hard time getting mental health supports and finding those tools that they need. Teen health and wellness is not a substitute for medical help and that kind of mental health professionals. That said, I think about it as a first responder resource. So teens talking to teens, you come to the resource, there the teens are on your homepage. The homepage includes that peer-to-peer content that I talked about, Tell Your Story, and we update the content on the homepage every week, and we feature a different personal story and student created video every week. So this week we're looking at Jennifer's story, and the stories once accepted live in the article. The article created content from Rosen. We own the content. And this is Jennifer's story about how her depression and sadness led her to an eating disorder. But the wonderful thing about these stories is that what have the kids dealt with, and how have they overcome it? So these are not just sad sorry stories. These are stories of hope and agency. And at the end of every story, we have information about how to share your own story. So that's there's always a way to take action. And I want to quickly also point out, and I talked about student creative videos. This is one that was created about how to manage stress.
Stressed out, you're not alone. According to a 2013 survey by the American Psychological Association, 30% of all teens feel overwhelmed with stress on a daily basis. When you're experiencing stress, stimuli are triggered to try and regulate your body's homeostasis.
Well, we won't plumb the depths of homeostasis right now, but you get the idea. You hear a teen's voice, and there are some basic production values. So these are a wonderful collection of videos, and you could see all the videos in the database, which are a wide range of topics in the See More videos, and all the student created videos have red asterisks. And then there's information about how to share your own video. So again, we're looking at how do you make meaning out of information? Perhaps it's creating a video on a topic you feel passionate about, and think about this. So your students can become creators. They can also, you can use these videos maybe to, I know, as conversation starters, or if you have all school time at the beginning of the day, you could potentially show one of these videos. And just because that's that peer-to-peer communication, teens talking to teens. And I neglected to also point out, in terms of these personal stories, there's an archive of all the personal stories that are available throughout teen health and wellness. And they're organized by topic, by issue. And so if you have a teen coming into your learning space, this is another way for you to connect the teen to really good information and really just set the scene for perhaps your conversation with them or your school counselor's conversation with them in a safe space. And there are hundreds of these stories. Teen health and wellness has been in the world for over 15 years. So we're really proud of this information we've aggregated. So just quickly through the homepage, we're looking at a Q&A with Dr. Jan. A kid is feeling he's stressed out. His father said he's too young to feel stressed out. Really, is that true? And then Dr. Jan's answer. We have a cast your vote. Do you prioritize your mental health as much as your physical health? And you can think about this, and you could decide to vote. And I'm going to vote that I don't. That's a little sad. And apparently I am not alone. And this information is also presented graphically. So it's another way to talk about how you make meaning. Did you know? Creation of a gratitude journal, then for something different. And in the news about food allergies, we really are holding a mirror up to the lived world. And so food allergies is something that impacts a lot of teens. And we don't have to go very far to hear about how careful we are in schools to make sure that our students stay safe in this way too. And this is about a new medication from the FDA. So you get the idea here, the cherry on the cake, the calm room. This is something that you and everyone in your school community could use if you feel overwhelmed and you need to take a break. Just reset, refocus, set intention. We've curated these resources, access to videos, waterfalls. Can't go wrong with the waterfall. Sounds and music, just lovely. If you need a little bit of a piano to help you calm down. But this is something that everyone in the community could use. And believe you me, you can be a hero with your administrator if you make this available to them, because we know, like everyone in the school, you're dealing with a fair amount of stress, as well as happiness and joy. So speaking of things that bring joy, I'm not going to open these nature cams now, but these are live cams, whether it's of the panda garden or golden retriever puppies or aquariums. These are wonderful ways. It's like having therapy pets in your library and or classroom. And then we have looping sounds. So what I just want you to do is know this is here and play with this. Really explore, and I guarantee you're going to find things in the nooks and crannies of teen health and wellness. We've expanded our accessibility options. So this is a resource for everyone with all the learning supports that we have built in. So I'm going to take a breath and segue now to something in some ways completely different, but not entirely. And that would be our financial literacy resource. The state of Wisconsin requires financial literacy classes or integration of these principles in classes. And so I want to be sure you know about this resource that is part of our life skills toolkit that can really support you, your middle schoolers and high schoolers in personal money management and personal finance. And like teen health and wellness, the key content areas are on the left side. And one thing that's so cool about this from the homepage is that you can go directly to savings calculators. and something like a college cost calculator. How timely right now when the college applications are in and the acceptances are beginning to come to our students. How do you save money? How do you build a budget? This is really important stuff. And we want to make sure that our students are ready to enter the world. I mean, it's interesting with financial matters because not all of us are so comfortable in speaking about this. So really, this is a resource that everyone could use, but we wanted to make it easy for you and your students to use it. So if we talk about paying for college, and we can put paying for college in our search, and yes, there is an article on that. And this is something that's so foundational for our students. What is college worth? Not a bad question to ask, as so many of our students are considering a 4-year option, a 2-year option, or perhaps delaying college or going to a technical school. All of this is great information. How do you apply for financial aid, get a loan, work study programs, myths and facts? Like teen health and wellness, all of our resources have myths and facts. And this is really an important way to have a conversation starter with your class or a student with their parents. Sticker price is what I'll pay for college. Well, we may have sticker shock, but you're not necessarily going to pay sticker price. I may have to fill out financial aid forms by myself. No, there are people in the school community that can help you. Your counselors, financial aid officers, help you with your FAFSA. Great questions to ask. So there are a lot of tools built in here as our students are getting ready to think about, to plan what their next steps are. So I'm going to go back to the homepage for a second and just, this is an interesting think about it. What is the number one skill that employers look for? We hear so much now about computer skills, AI. Yes, for sure. These are important. So are research skills. So what do we think? Is it leadership, communication, computer skills? I am going to pick communication skills. And the answer is amazingly, yes. The ability to communicate is often ranked as the top skill employers look for. So when we think about everything that's happening in the school community and all the hard skills and the soft skills that our students are getting and the soft skills from teen health and wellness, how you communicate, how you are in the world, and how you are in teams is so incredibly important. Who you are showing up, and 10 great questions to ask yourself. And these are good self-reflections. Do I complain? Am I able to complain if there's too much work? Can I stand up for my rights? Am I always polite even when I disagree? Do I work well in a group or team? These are really good things for our students to think about. And certainly they pertain to how our students behave in the classroom, but well beyond that too. So just one more thing I want to show you, first job smarts. Our kids are thinking about first jobs, whether they may be internships, first job smarts. And this is one way to look for the content in the database. There's so many other ways to search. And I think that one thing I love about this, again, are these things you really have to think hard about. High school students and college students don't have to pay taxes. Well, the whole myths and facts and what taxes are, now that is a big topic. But of course, taxes must be paid. Teenagers are paid at least the minimum wage. Wonderful thing to think about. What is the minimum wage? Changing jobs is frowned upon. Switching careers is impossible. Again, these are really important things for us to be equipped, one, to know what the questions are, and then two, to begin to move towards answers as students, as employees. Great questions to ask, talking about the day-to-day in an interview situation. What are expectations? talk about people perhaps who have previously held this position and what differentiated bad or mediocre performances. What is the culture of the company? So again, we are creating the platform for student success once, in their post-secondary environment, as well as perhaps when they're looking for schools, for jobs as high school students. So I think about these two resources. Trials are available. You can request a trial through the Contact Us or through Jeff for either financial literacy or teen health and wellness. Discounts are available through WiLS, and discounts for bundling these two resources together from our Life Skills Toolkit are absolutely available. So please think about this, and the discounts will be available through the spring. So start your trials now, explore, and see how these resources can really make a difference in the lives and the education and the efficacy of you and your students. So thank you so much for listening today. And I'm excited to continue our collaboration with the Wisconsin learning environments. So thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Miriam. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And thanks so much for that really in-depth look at both teen health and wellness and the financial literacy resource. I think both of those are just really great additions that any school or district could make very good use of. So I really appreciate you sharing with us today. I haven't seen any questions come in yet
Okay.
for Miriam, but I'll say what I say. For all of our presenters, please do reach out to us here at WiLS. I'm sure that Miriam won't mind if you reach out to her directly as well.
Happy.
With any kind of questions or anything that we can do for you, we're always happy to help out. So with that, let me see if I can get back to my screen just to bring us to our closing for today. So thank you again to all of our presenters. If you saw anything that you're interested in learning more about, please do reach out. Don't hesitate. Finally, I will say we are back to our every 2-week schedule. So we're going to have another Taco Tuesday session 2 weeks from today on March 12th, again at 11:30 a.m. Central. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great afternoon. Bye.